They say that history is the greatest of all teachers, and that tales of past deeds define who we are in the present, and what we shall be in the future. It is said that such tales shall, with each telling, illuminate us all with the light of truth. I shall tell you of such a tale. It is a tale quite familiar to me, for I have spent nearly a lifetime piecing it together and chronicling it here within this book. For years I have pondered its passages, studying every line, committing each word to memory. Perhaps now, in the telling of it, I shall at last find the answers I seek. Our story takes place in the northern region of Faerun, known as Icewind Dale. It is a harsh, frozen land, cut off from the rest of the world by a wall of jagged peaks called the Spine of the World. For centuries, the icy plains of the Dale have been home to the barbarian peoples of the Uthgard and Regedman. Huddled together in small, closely knit tribes, the barbarians lived simple lives, free, proud, and fiercely independent. Until the day an archmage named Erakan came to Icewind Dale. With an army of mercenaries, Erakan sought to conquer the north and force the fierce barbarians into slavery. Long weeks of battle followed, and the scattered barbarian tribes suffered terrible losses. Defeat seemed inevitable. In their darkest hour, a barbarian shaman named Jared came forth and demanded a council between all the remaining tribes of the north. A respected warrior, Jared persuaded the council to put aside their differences and unite against Erakan. Strengthened by a new sense of purpose, the barbarians rallied behind their new leader. The combined might of the Northmen proved more than a match for Erakan, who had counted on the division of the tribes. Wave after wave of barbarian warriors tore into Erakan's hired army, forcing them on the defensive and ultimately into full retreat. As his army crumbled around him, Erakan had time for one last desperate act before his enemies descended upon him. Drawing upon his remaining power, the Archmage breached the planar boundaries, tearing open a portal to the lower planes. The foolish Archmage's cries of victory immediately turned to shrieks of terror as the hideous and twisted shapes of demonkind materialized from the portal and poured onto the battlefield. The sudden appearance of the demons drove the combatants, barbarian and mercenary alike, to turn to meet the new threat side by side. The remaining warriors bravely charged the portal to drive the hellspawn back and were slaughtered by the hundreds. As his people fell around him, the barbarian shaman, Jared, looked up from the blood-drenched snow of the battlefield and caught sight of a lone figure high upon a ridge in the distance. Jared immediately recognized this vision as an omen from his god Tempus, and in that instant, he knew what had to be done. Shouting cries to his god, he charged through the ranks of the demons and plunged into the portal. As Jared's blood fused with the energies of the portal, an explosion of white light engulfed the battlefield. When the light subsided, the demons were gone, and the portal was closed. In its place hovered a disk of solid stone. Frozen within the center of the disk was Jared's body, locked in his final moment of agony, in his final moment of triumph for all eternity. But that is not the end of our tale. It is but the beginning.
Hi folks, I'm Bumbly. This is Icewind Dale. This is actually the remastered version by Beamdog. The game originally came out in the early O's, I want to say 2002. One of my favorite games from my childhood. I tend to play this game almost every winter. It gets really it gets really bad in Minnesota due to the weather, the snow, the cold. But it's a good game to play while you have some cabin fever. This game is based on the Infinity engine, and I don't know if there's a new engine with the Beamdog version. I don't think so. I haven't looked into it, but this is also a game that's similar to Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate 2 plays on that same engine, and I love these types of games when I was a kid. The top-down view. We'll be playing this alongside our Pillars of Eternity. We will be getting back into that, but right now we're going to start up Icewind Dale. This game is a little bit more hack and slash dungeon crawler than Baldur's Gate series. A little bit lighter on the storytelling. There's not a whole lot of NPCs to interact with. There are in the towns, but just the two towns, the first town that we're in and then the second town, Kaldahar. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of people to interact with. It's mostly just dispatching of enemies, killing bosses, crawling through dungeons, and which is fun. It is, and I do really enjoy that aspect of this game. I did play a little bit of the expansion, Heart of Winter. I'd like to try that again. I haven't been a huge fan of it in the past, but I'd like to get into that one. And then also, I would like to play Icewind Dale 2 later on, and I haven't played much of that one either. But let's dive in, and I want to check out, we're going to do single player, of course. We're going to do a new game. We're going to delete all the pre-rendered ones and create our own. I tend to do a similar group work makeup, and I want to try some new ones. We do want a fighter, of course. I think that one is going to be a dwarf. I do like dwarves in this game. They have really good HP and not the best hit. They have good hit points, but not the best armor. But that can easily be made up for their HP. They also get -2 to Charisma. Charisma does not play that big of a role in this game, so we're not going to be terribly worried about that. They do also have 2+ bonus to saving throw versus paralysis, death, poison, rod, blah 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 blah. So we're going to go with them. I don't tend to multi-class or dual class, so we're going to do a fighter. And I think we're just going to... Dwarven Defender, let's see here. May use Defensive Stance once per day, gains 1 use at level 1, and then 1 at every 4 after that. Defensive Stand for 1 turn. The Dwarven Defender gains 50% resistance of all forms of physical damage, +2 saving throws, and 50% movement rate penalty. They gain 5% resistance to crushing, slashing, piercing, and missile damage every 5 levels to a maximum of 20 at level 20. Hit die D12. Disadvantages: restricted to dwarf, may not exceed high mastery of 4 slots in axes and hammers, may not exceed specialization 2 slots in any other weapon. See, that I don't care for too much. I do like to master. I do like to have really high levels in my weapon. Grand Mastery 5 slots with weapon class, and of course they're dwarven. He's a dwarf fighter. We're going to do axes. Alignment really does not play a role unless you're playing a mage, because it's easier to get Robe of the Magi, which is one of my favorite robes for wizards in this game. There is an evil one, and then there is a neutral one. There is a good one. I'm not sure I've ever gotten it. So usually with my mages, I either play true neutral or maybe lawful evil with them, so I can get that. And that's in the 3rd dungeon, I believe, in Dragon's Eye that you can get. But we're going to just, it doesn't matter, so chaotic good. They even, like in previous other titles, like your party members will fight each other, get into arguments, and may even ultimately leave the group or attack the other character in your party that's not their alignment. Say if one's good and one's evil, they might get into a little bit of a spat. But in this title, in Icewind Dale, it doesn't matter. Abilities, this part's kind of gamey. If you ever played Dungeons and Dragons in real life, you get one roll, basically. We're gonna lower all this down to the minimum. We'll probably increase it here in a little bit, but I want to get this up here. Again, this is gamey too. I kind of want to try to get as powerful I can in strength. 18 over 00 is the best. That's pretty good. We're gonna stick with that. Just because I don't want to have you guys sit here and stare at the screen while I'm trying to get maxed out on this. Again, I don't really care about charisma. Let's get wisdom up there. Wisdom is good for saving throws. Intelligence doesn't matter too much for fighters, so we're not going to worry too much about intelligence. We might just bump that down to 8 and up to wisdom 15. Okay. Skills, we're going to do axe, and then we're going to do sword and shield style. That's just a placeholder. It's any single-handed weapon, so. Alright, appearance. We'll just keep it the same color as the actual person. So, scroll down to fighter.
Steel yourselves!
I'll be doing the leading now.
That's a good fighter voice, or a good dwarf voice. Rodgar. Done. Alright, so we've got our first character, Rodgar. He is our fighter dwarf. Next character we're going to build, I think we need a priest. That's a good-looking priest. All right. Race. Let's just do human. Class. We do cleric. It's important to have a cleric in this game, especially when they can get raised dead. If you die in this game, it is kind of a pain to leave the dungeon, especially if you're like in the deep part of the dungeon, to have to go all the way back to town to resurrect them and then go all the way back to where you were. So it's always imperative that we should have a cleric in this game. I usually doesn't, I don't know. Chaos of Battle. Let's take a look here. Advantages: may cast Holy Power once per day. Gains Holy Power is pretty good. Chaos of Battle. Chaos of Battle applies bonuses to all allies and penalties to all enemies within 30 feet radius of the caster. The spell lasts one turn and will randomly affect the target's armor class, hit points, Thaco, save, or luck. And that's just to hit armor class 0. Alignment restricted to, and that's fine. So I think we're going to do Priest of Tempest, which is the god of war in this game, in the Forgotten Realms setting of D&D. Again, doesn't matter. We're not going to care too much about that. We're going to re-roll, though. We want to get as many ability points as possible. 82 is pretty good. We're going to store that one. 84 is even better. 85. Oop, I missed it. Sometimes I've been clicked way too fast. I'm just going to do this a couple more times to see if we can get something higher than 84. Alright, so we're going to recall that. We don't need Charisma as a priest, but we do need Wisdom. Intelligence is not important. Dexterity is very important for armor class, and Strength for damage and hitting. We'll just put those right there in Intelligence. I think that's good. Let's do quarterstaff. There's some good quarterstaffs, and I think that's good. And that's a two-handed weapon, so we're going to do two-handed weapon style, which just reduces the overall damage to weapon. Just want to make sure two-handed weapon style is what we want. So don't want to do that by accident. And that just gives us wielder gets +1 bonus damage rolls and -2 bonus to speed factor. And then rolls critical on 19 or 20 instead of just 20, which is nice. Magical two-handed weapons are more powerful than their single-handed counterparts. This counterbalances the fact that you can't use a second weapon. Yep, okay, perfect. Our starting spells doesn't matter because they know all these spells anyways, and sure. Appearance, he's got kind of an orange outfit, so we're gonna do not that orange. That's good, and then perfect.
Gods grant me strength. I would be honored. Oh, the demons of sleep hound me. I need rest. We squander what little time we have standing here.
That sounds good. Okay, done. Shavid. Sounds good. Alright, so we have a fighter, we have a cleric. I don't know why I do this, but at the back end I start creating other people. Let's look for a thief. Looks good. Halflings are always good with that. They have good dexterity add bonuses, which help out the thieves. They get +2 bonus saving throws, same as dwarves, except they with additional bonuses based on Constitution. And then they get bonus Thaco with slings. I think that's a racial. It is a racial because it's halfling. And then all of these abilities too. Strength and wisdom don't really matter too much, so we're not going to worry too much about that either. I think they do. Okay, so we're going to go with halfling. If we look at elf, they also get +1 to dexterity, -1 to constitution. Resistance against charm and sleep spells, which might be nice. Infinite vision, Thaco with bonus with bow shorts. Let's go back. I don't know if we necessarily want to do elf. Halfling's fine. Thief. And all that good stuff. So, yep. I think we're just going to leave it as normal thief. Neutral's fine. Abilities. Let's re-roll until we get a good starting amount. Oh, and see, I just saw an 85 that I blew right past. There's an 86 that I blew right past. Okay, I gotta do this a little bit slower. 85, there we go. We'll actually store that too. Alright, so we're gonna lower charisma. Again, no, doesn't matter in this game. We do want to make sure that's decked out. Okay, intelligence I'm not too worried about. Wisdom will increase if we have to. So we'll dump the rest in wisdom. Great. Skills. I tend to dump a bunch into pickpocketing early on. There's some NPCs early on that have really good items that we can pickpocket, and I think that's a wise move. And then after we do that, I think we're going to move on to find traps, and then into this area too. So good. So we're gonna do short sword, and then halflings are really good with slings, so we're gonna do that. Done. Appearance. I don't really care about the hair that too much. Maybe we just swap that to black. Major is kind of like a brown, like that. And minor is white. Good.
Dash and slash! Let's dance. Dash and... What? I could use some shut-eye. Let's follow me.
Even I need to rest once in a while.
Alright. We'll do Olga. Accept. Oh, doesn't put him over there. Okay, whatever. And then I think we need a wizard. Female. Done. The only one that has extra intelligence is the gnome race, but they are very limited in what they can do. Like, they'd have to be an illusionist, and I don't necessarily like that. They only get spells. They can get extra, at least this is what it used to be, but you can get an extra slot in your spellbook, but they can't do their opposite school of magic. So they won't be able to learn any of the spells. I think they still can cast them, but they won't be able to. Yep, they cast arcane spells. But I've never become an illusionist. I think that's kind of limiting. So I think we're gonna go with. Let's do human. It's fine. Mage. And wow, mage is kind of interesting. But I think we're just gonna do a standard mage. And then we're gonna do lawful evil for her. '84 should be fine. They do require high intelligence, so we're gonna leave that at that for now. We do want to have as high constitution as we can, and dexterity as well. We're not going to be worried too much about strength, because they're not going to be really fighting, and mostly I can have her carrying like gems and scrolls, so I'm not too worried about what she can and cannot carry. But the rest of that looks good. Skills. Let's do dagger. There's some really good daggers. Even though we don't use them really much, we're not going to have her going into melee range. There are some good spells, or good daggers out there. But well, she can still use it. Let's just move her to sling as well. Yeah, that's fine. One. Learn. I love to do magic missiles, and then identify are pretty good spells. We'll do magic missiles. Appearance, her hair is kind of darker, skin tones a little bit more tan, there we go. And then we're gonna go with brown outfit. There we go, and then maybe that's fine.
Die, fool! Prepare to be destroyed by Gyardal's shield. I shall slay you all.
I always like that one. Alright, and let's do Feta. Accept. Okay, so we have a fighter, we have our cleric, we have a mage, and we have a thief. Those are like the core parts of any group. So the rest is just kind of gravy. It's kind of nice to have a fighter, another fighter in this game. That's kind of like, that works well with like ranged objects. That's what I kind of like to do. And then I think we're going to do a paladin, maybe a bard. There's a lot of good stuff for bards in this game, but I think we're gonna do paladin. Female. class. We'll do human, class, fighter. Okay, just a regular one I think would be fine. Let's see. A barbarian may not wear armor heavier than splint mail, may not exceed specialization. Yeah, I think we're just gonna do standard fighter. Chaotic is fine. We're gonna reroll. Yeah, there's some excellent bows in this game. Although I always do bows, maybe I consider using crossbows. I don't know. I think we're gonna go with bows. Large bows, long bows. Oh, there was an 85. Let's I think what we should do is see, yeah, reroll. Yep. Again, I'm not gonna do this till infinity, but that's a good one. That's a good one too. There we go. That's fine. That's good enough. So yeah, we're gonna lower all this down to like nothing, and then increase the dexterity and all that good stuff. And then we're gonna increase wisdom. Perfect. Done. Skills. Let's look at longbows. And yeah, let's do spear. Why not? Alright, and then appearance. Just got more of a darker tone, skin tone, so we're going to do that, and then darker hair. Darker hair. There we go. Perfect.
You would do Wet Queen for a day, is it?
Your time draw. I will do my...
Perfect. Benhamina. Done. Okay. So, we've got 2 fighters, and I think we're going to do a paladin. Let's do... class. Let's do human. We're going to do paladin. Paladin. There we go. Use ranged weapons. Okay. +3 bonus to hit and damage rolls against demons, devils, dragons, and wyverns, which might be great later on in some of the DLC. I think that might be a good one. May not turn undead. Okay. May not use any of those creatures. Blackguard. I think they are bad guy. Yeah. So we might do a cavalier. I think that's a good one. Alignment. Lawful good. Of course. Abilities. So we need a lot of points for paladins, because charisma does play a big role in them, at least a minor role for, not charisma, is it charisma? It says it's important to paladins, so we might have to do that. And then we also need some wisdom, but we also need all of these traits too, because they're going to be frontline fighters as well. Oops. That I think we're going to keep. That is excellent. So we're going to lower that down as low as possible. We do want some wisdom. Let's max out the charisma. So that is pretty good. Oh, okay. And then we want longsword and short sword and shield. Parents. That's fine. Maybe just kind of like white. A little bit of red. Perfect. Now we gotta find somebody that's kind of like full of a little
Steel yourselves.
bit of pomp.
I'll wash me beard in.
Attack! Attack! Yes, we must halt. And let us continue. There are battles to be won.
Yeah, he sounds kind of like a romantic paladin of the realm. We'll call him Dance. Fallout 4 reference. Okay, so that's good. I think we have a good party.
Our tale begins here, in the quiet fishing village of East Haven, one of the so-called 10 towns of Icewind Dale. The tiny community is hardly a town, but rather a collection of ramshackle huts crowded together upon the icy shores of Lech Dineshire. Here, within a dimly lit tavern, a group of travelers sit huddled around a table, swapping tales and making grand plans for the future, completely unaware of the part they are to play in the events that are about to unfold.
And right there, I think we're going to leave it. This is going to be episode 0, kind of basically just set up of our characters, and then we'll get into the prologue, and we'll continue on from there. Thank you for joining me. If you like what you see and would like to see more of Icewind Dale, please leave a like, subscribe, and consider leaving a comment. Thanks.